Good morning. Welcome to MCC in person. Evidently it's working because we're having a dickens of a time getting you from the Commons area into the auditorium. Isn't it wonderful to see people face to face again? We were pleased to have many of you join us last year as we celebrated the 10th anniversary of this event in a virtual fashion. So let's continue that celebration this year with the 11th annual. We are welcoming those of you who are here with us in person. We're also saying good morning to those of you who are joining us via live stream. And this portion of the event will be recorded. So that'll come out to you. That link will come out post-event so that you can share this information within your organizations. Speaking of sharing, I don't usually say take out your phone, but you have my full permission to take out your phone. Your agenda today has a QR code in the corner. Rather than send you home with a packet of materials that probably did not get out of your car, we have created a virtual backpack for you. So with your phone, you can snap that QR code and get right to all of the resources that we'll be speaking about today. You'll see a folder for each of the breakout sessions, information from this main presentation, as well as all of the information that's available to you at the expo tables in the Commons area. We also invite you, while you've got that phone out, to get engaged in some social media because, may I hear it from this audience, October is, you're so much better than some of the groups I talk with. So yes, that's a challenge to many of you to get involved. So it is, there's my contact information. We've also made it easy for you in that virtual backpack. There's one document that just has all of the contact information from the speakers this morning, again, to make it easy for you to connect. All right, it is my pleasure now to introduce you to MCC's president, Dr. Clint Gabbard, to provide a welcome.
Welcome. Is this okay for, I'm at a significant distance, no spitting. It is great to have you here. It is every time that we have brought back a group of people onto the campus after a hiatus like we've had, it's just felt like old home week. So good to have you with us this morning. I hope it's a profitable morning. Yesterday I asked Tom Mcgee, our Dean of Career and Technical Education, and Catherine Jones, our Associate VP of Workforce Development, what they hoped to learn or accomplish today. Just wondered what their intent was for this morning. And their answers were the sort of answers that leaders crave. They're exactly what you want to hear from the people who you work with. Both answers that they gave independently, email exchanges, were focused on listening to you. Tom is excited to show you the latest test fit drawings of our new Foglia Center for Advanced Technology and Innovation. He wants to show you the various labs and get your input on things like equipment and brands and sourcing for the manufacturing areas. We believe if we build this center, they will come. It is going to be a beautiful building, but we have spent far more time articulating the guts of the building than the facade. The facade's going to be quite striking, but we need to make sure we're meeting the training needs with every machine, every piece of software, every syllabus that we create for the instruction that's going to go in that building. Tom also wants to pick your collective brains on the processes or projects that we need to be teaching to develop student skills in the metal fabrication and machining area. So Tom's here to listen, and I'm thrilled that he is. Catherine, on the other hand, echoed Tom's listening goals, but also wanted to know about any programming that we need to be adding or modifying to meet your needs. She wants to make sure that all of the information in terms of the employee resources that we are trying to provide to you are making their way into decision makers within your company's desks so that we can meet the needs of your companies around training and development of resources. Honestly, their responses didn't surprise me because this is us. This is MCC. We try to lead with listening whenever we can because it's the only way to be a part of the essential process of being part of that economic engine that drives opportunity for women and men who will make a career in manufacturing. The only way that we do that is to be refreshed continuously with new ideas and with modifications of what we think is the way that we should be teaching and what we should be learning. We need to change as your needs change. I can tell you that we spent very little time whining when we were forced off campus 19 months ago, forced to make our classes virtual, forced to delay essential labs, forced to teach differently, and forced to ask students to learn very differently. We didn't whine much. Instead, we kept our eyes fixed on an object far, it felt like, on the shore while we were getting rocked around a little bit in our collective boats here at the college. Part of our encouragement in these months has been the survival of our manufacturing partners. The way all of you kept moving forward, protected your employees, and persevered through all the hiring difficulties. You survived and thrived in many places, and you challenged us to continue to innovate how we can assist in training for your needs. If you are going to be such a force that keeps moving so effectively, we want to be in lockstep with you. COVID gets a lot of airspace right now, and the only reason I mention it is simply because one of the most precious outcomes through this whole thing for us has been the reinforcement of our belief that we're ready and willing to be a little bit more than a little bit radical in not holding on to sacred cows around here. We want to teach what you need. We want to teach students where they need to be taught and where they best learn. And we are willing, I declare to you, to rip up the playbook at any moment to absorb what you are going to tell us, what you're going to tell Tom and Catherine this morning, and what on the interim times between these breakfasts, you reach out to us with a phone call or an email to tell us so that we can be quite willing to start from scratch again and say, let's build it from the ground up. Thanks for being our partners. Your goal of running a successful company through hiring, training, rewarding our community members is right where we're trying to live every day. And teach us about collaboration by telling us the things you need to tell us and reminding us if you've told us before and we just didn't follow through. We apologize for that. But our heart is focused on meeting your needs because it's what's going to grow this great community of ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gabbard. It is now my pleasure to introduce our panel on supply chain agility. We asked what topic it might be that you would want us to focus on during this breakfast, and we heard a resounding supply chain. And so I'm pleased to introduce our panelists. Frank Selmer, who is joining us from TC Industries, CFO and Treasurer, as well as General Manager of the Process Steel Company. Jeff Macon, Factory Director at True Value Manufacturing in Cary, and John Mink, who comes to us as Vice President of Global Supply Chain at Hydroforce, Inc., but we also tapped John because he is the author of a recent book, Forecasting with Outliers. So we asked you as you were registering for the event to give us your questions. We wanted to hear from you what you wanted us to address. During our session today, we'll use those questions to provide responses to you. I got the sense as we were prepping for this that this may not be the end of this conversation. If you want to continue this conversation in other venues, we'd be happy to do that with you. I am not going to read our panelists' bio. They are fabulous bios, but we really want to hear from them. So on the flip side of your agenda, you have their detailed bio information, and I would invite you to take a look at that. John, we're going to start with you. I want to ask you how you define or describe this thing that we're calling supply chain agility, and has that definition changed for you at all over the last 2 years?
Thanks, Catherine. So supply chain agility, in my simple definition, is how well a company can adapt to the changing demands placed on that company from your customers, and extracting value from that. So the value would be getting a new order. The value would be increased margins for the value providing for your agility, or even actually new customers or channels that you can serve. So in all simplicity, that's what agility is in supply chain.
Thank you. And did it change in the last 2 years?
Has it changed? Well, none of us have experienced a pandemic before, I don't think, unless you're over 100. So this is very new territory for all of us, but absolutely it's changed. It's like, when are you going to ship my order to anything? And so what we've found is that the pandemic has really is the root cause for some of all the issues we're really dealing with as far as labor, work stoppages around the world, and then you find that now we're struggling everywhere and be able to supply customers, right, to demands that none of us have really forecasted. So it has changed the way that we're looking at supply chain from an agility perspective. We can't keep our eye off the prize of extracting value for what we provide to our customers, but at the same point, this is the opportunity for us to make a big difference in how we go and attack our business. I think many of us in supply chain now may a little bit feel like vindicated at how important we've been up in what supply chain is, but at the same time, it's probably the most stressful time, especially in mine, but all of our careers. We're all in the same boat, and this is the time now, is when we get through pieces of this pandemic and quote-unquote, there will be a new normal. It won't be the same, but if we don't change the way that we behave and operate and invest, right, we haven't learned anything, and that's the key here.
Thanks, John. Jeff, talk a little bit about what supply chain agility means for you and True Value.
For us, really our supply chain agility being in the chemical blending industry, we manufacture architectural coatings. It's organizational agility, right? Training people, cross-training, developing those people so when we had a need, we were able to pivot the business and make hand sanitizer. So we stopped making floor cleaning products and some paints, and we focused purely on hand sanitizer. We were able to do that because we have learning, we're a learning organization, and we focus on developing the people, and we have problem solvers working for us in the hourly ranks. That was critical during this pandemic. Flexibility in the organization, when you can't get the raw materials, super flexible people who understand the trouble that everyone's going through is critical, and that challenge was, I'm sure I'll regret saying this, but I'm happy to have gone through this. I think we've learned a lot as an organization and who we can depend on, and it built a lot of trust within the teams.
Thank you. And Frank, from your perspective.
Pretty much what John and Jeff have said, having to do with the flexibility within the organization. At TC, we do get some material from overseas, but our biggest product is steel. So as we are getting into steel slowly, we have to be able to turn it around and get it out the door. So we look at it too from supply chain agility for our team. And there's actually a few individuals that are from TC here that have helped make that agility work and get product out the door.
Thank you. Jeff, did we realize just how dependent we were on a global supply chain?
No. We were focused on, minimizing cost, and, the lowest cost raw material was the goal. And we've unfortunately put all of our eggs in one region. As a lean guy, we have looked at lead times, and from a lean perspective, getting parts from that side of the world don't make sense as far as lead time goes, but the lower cost solution was the way to go. So we stockpiled inventory, and I know there's some opportunity there to look at reducing our inventory, but we're looking at 60 to 90 days from anything from overseas in a container at a cost of about $5,000 a container. Now it's 6 months to a year at a cost of $25,000 for a container. So I'm not so sure the low-cost alternative is still the low-cost alternative, and I think this is a great opportunity for our country to look at exactly what we can manufacture. I did not know that many of the products that are blended in the United States that we use in our own paints and coatings and cleaners actually have raw material components that come from different parts of the world. So although we thought we got everything from Houston and the Winter Storm Uri did a number on us, we realized that they were getting stuff from overseas that we now can't manufacture our products. So even the things, I guess personally, I thought we were making 100% of, we're not. And one component missing out of a 20 component part is still, the customer does not get that part. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to really look at that. And we're not a big enough manufacturer for some of our raw materials to buy direct from manufacturers, so we buy through distributors. And pretty much the distributors have been very difficult to get materials from because they buy overages from manufacturers, and there are no overages for any product. That's something that this is an opportunity for us to learn from.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when we would have those conversations around total cost of supply, and it was, yeah, but labor's cheaper. And it was difficult to encourage that depth of conversation that now is very much on our minds. John, we've heard some things about just-in-time, and just-in-time was just wrong. Was it wrong? Is it wrong?
Well, we've changed that to NQIT, not quite in time. So you got to look at the whole experience that a business runs, right? So how good is your demand forecast? Where is your safety stocks that you're putting in? What are your customers' safety stocks? Where are your suppliers? So you look at that whole equation. We use just-in-time because it's a very cash flow type business. How quickly can we turn our cash? Mm-hmm. And so to me, the dimension is, I call it the whack-a-mole metrics that we go after, and it's amazing how we operate, and many of our public companies operate, is at the end of every fiscal quarter, where does their inventory have to be? Mm-hmm. Has to be at its lowest level so they can report to the street. But if you really take that in that particular metric by itself, that could cost you in margin, that actually could cost you in revenue and sales. So when I look at just-in-time, from the perspective of just-in-time, you've got to really look at the other factors. I look at 4 things: revenue, cost, cash flow, and customer sat. Okay? Give one example on the customer sat. We love to look at on-time delivery for customer sat. You can have 100% on-time delivery. You have the worst customer experience ever. Right? You can put your lead times out for 48 weeks. Right? So it's not necessarily there. So you've got to connect these 4 pieces together, and that's where I think some great companies look at it and able to manage these 4 buckets.
Thank you. And John, that answer reminds me of something, Frank, that we were talking about. Just what are we learning from this current disruption, and what are you already doing differently at this point? Customer satisfaction was a key piece of that.
I think one of the keys we're learning is that we need to be more self-reliant. Each of us have slightly different issues with the supply chain. At TC, we're experiencing some issues with consumables and lubricants and coolants, just like probably most of you are. One of the main products, we need steel. We make cutting edges. Fortunately for us, the vast majority of the steel that we get still comes from North America. Now, those mills are late, delaying their rollings. We're constantly trying to get steel from other places. But our main customer requires us to use certified mills. So we can only go to certain mills to get the steel. And what we've been doing is using that as leverage that for years we've been trying to tell our main customer, you need to go to other mills to get steel. There's certain grades, to certain sizes, but that costs them some money to do that. Well, now they're listening to us more and more. Okay, they say, yeah, you're right. We're not going to get that rolling until January. Then you want the part in October. If you want it in October 21, you're not going to get it. So they're realizing that more and more. And as we get the material in, fortunately for us, over the last year and a half to 2 years, we went into a cross-training program. Because I'm sure, just like most of you, you can't hire the people. Or when you hire the people, they don't stay long. Since the beginning of this year, we've hired about 85 people at TC and have netted about 5 or 6. So a tremendous waste of money for training. But with the cross-training we've done, we've been able to move people from one area of the shop to the other to handle the bottlenecks. And again, that's through some individuals that are on the floor with the managers and the supervisors that know how the product runs through the shop and can do that. And just very recently, one of our managers, who's also sitting in the front row, came to me and said, we've had some guys that are up in the office now that are working engineering or purchasing and that used to run machines in the shop. How about if we go and ask them if they want to run some machines again on their off shifts? And he went and talked to them. They all agreed. Most of them agreed. So we're already picking up extra hours on the shop floor. So over the last year, even though with just about the same amount of people, through the innovations and efficiencies, we've been able to get about 15 to 20% more product out the door than we did a year ago with the same amount of people. So again, the self-reliance internally is what we need to do and what we've been doing at TC.
Jeff, what are you learning?
One of the things I think that we can take away from this is, the just-in-time is still critical to run any business, but having multiple resources to purchase, multiple suppliers. Now, multiple suppliers all from the same region is not multiple suppliers. So I think we felt good that we were buying it from 5 different places, but it was all coming on through the same port. And that is really what the bottleneck is, right? It's getting the goods and services through the port. So if we have 5 or 6 different suppliers for a component, one of those needs to be local. One of those needs to be onshore. Even if they're the higher alternative, that's actually securing our supply chain. Because saying that we have 25 new vendors for this, but them all coming literally on the same ship, it's not going to get here any faster, and we're just, I think that's very short-sighted, but that's what we've learned. It's what local partners and digging more into our distribution partners to see where they're actually getting these raw materials from that we consume and how secure that is.
Thank you. John, what are you learning? What are you doing differently that other folks might want to do differently?
Doing yoga.
We have a class for that.
Okay. I think a few things is that we're bringing always the opportunities that we have with our customers in. So we're bringing our customers in to actually help us make decisions. So for instance, the customer base that we serve, if we have a coil per se that's coming versus boat versus going to go on an airplane, there's a high cost. So understanding your customer experience, understanding their factory potential line downs, the order book that we have, we help them bring into the solutioning, and they've actually, some of our customers have brought in dollars to help secure supply to help them line their lines from going down. So we've also brought in the customers into the experience of well and help partner with them to help make decisions when cost is going to be a big factor to go deal with it. So that's number one. I think really two is looking at the global supply base in general. So can't lose sight that this pandemic will end, right? We will have some points of pandemic. I can't keep the eye on the prize of making sure that we're dual sourcing or triple sourcing smartly. So I don't want to just go ahead and get another supplier. We're only a year from now and say, well, you got to go, right? We don't need you anymore. So it really is where you're actually going to put your investments and pick your suppliers that are going to be long-term partners. So it's the opportunity now is to take a lot of my suppliers are in the 50-mile radius of Chicago, and I'm a hub and spoke for the rest of the world. Where, as we watch our growth for the rest of the world, are we going to strategically pick those dual sources? So spending a lot of time on that.
Thank you. Just a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to invite anybody to pop in on this. I've heard it threaded through responses, but what's the role of organizational culture and leadership in all of this?
I think one of the main things that leadership has to do is make sure there's no chaos that's going on in the shop. To make sure that people don't get overexcited and just causing us to do things that we shouldn't be doing. So as leaders, we need to remain calm so we can pass that down to the rest of the organization.
So more yoga?
Yeah. I would say, Catherine, that the thing that you have to do is continue to lead. This isn't a panic. We know where we're going, and we actually pushed harder in certain directions when this came about as a bit of a distraction, like Frank said, to calm everybody's nerves, but really to take on new initiatives and to drive forward and double down on our employee development. And we just had 6 people go through DDI leadership training here. We've accelerated our growth and development and skills matrix and things of that nature, lean implementation, and it's got people focused. They can come off the street and at home, whatever they're having to deal with, and they get into work and we're driving a certain direction, and there's a comfort in that I think people have appreciated. I think in general people are happier. I could say this maybe, I think they're happier at work during this time than maybe they are because they're not being bombarded by news and information, and at work they know where their place is, they know how they contribute, they know the value that they bring to us, and we show them that they are valuable, and that's critical. Even if we don't, we're nervous too, but we can't. We are. That's not our job to be nervous, it's our job to lead, so.
Thank you. And
I'll
words.
just add, the other thing that looking to be creative and opportunities is actually 2 things I found very, very powerful. First thing to do is you have a plan. And the plan has to be very clear and articulate, especially when you're talking to non-supply chain people, right? It has to be very, very pragmatic where you're going after, and you got to keep your eye on the prize. But it's got to be very clear and articulate what you're doing, number one. And number 2, which has been really actually kind of cool for me, is underneath ourselves and our companies, you have I call it untapped talent. And sometimes the talent hasn't been untapped, and it's amazing when you bring someone in for an initiative, or like, okay, I'm moving you from here, I know you're uncomfortable, but now you're in charge of now getting more capacity on our block supply, for instance. It's amazing when you give people the opportunities, the challenges, the encouragement, and you can see such a big difference and a learning curve for all of us. And I think that, to me, don't look at just externally we need more and more labor. What can you do internally to tap your talent and actually give people an opportunity to lead, which is sometimes when business is going, we're not thinking very hard about it. So I think, to me, that's been it's actually been powerful, number one, and number two, it's very rewarding to watch people be able to grow. Because I'm not going to last very long, so someone needs to take my job pretty quickly. But it's really fun to see.
Thank you. And would you join me in thanking our panel this morning? As we shift the setup here, I'd like to again just kind of mention John's book, Forecasting with Outliers. Yes, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. As we break for the next sessions, you can visit with John in the MCC store, where he's got copies of his books. He has signed mine, and so I would invite you to visit with John there. Let's hear a little bit about what's happening with our programs here at MCC. So I will introduce you to Tom Mcgee, our Dean of Career and Technical Education.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. It's been a year, and last time we were together, we were remote. So this is great to be in person for a change, and maybe next year we can do it without masks and things like that. As Clint said earlier today, one of the projects that we have underway is just a little one, and it's a brand new facility, and I need your help. We need your help. One of the things that we've been doing so far is doing a fit test to make sure that equipment that we currently own will be placed appropriately and that the building is sized appropriately based on the state restrictions. This facility is going to change how we support you, and we need your help in identifying the equipment, where the equipment goes, what brand of equipment, where do we get the equipment, and after hearing supply chain, getting equipment may be a challenge as well. But this facility is going to contain these three main labs. On your left is the machining lab, in the center is a welding and metal fabrication lab, and to the far right is a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning lab. Around it, on both across the hall and then on the second floor, there are multiple labs for industrial maintenance, manufacturing, engineering, an incubator lab for you to use, and a public makerspace. So this is going to be exciting. We're getting close, and now we're time to get down to where the outlets go and things like that. So I'm looking forward to working with you in getting this building built and moving that forward. Many of the things that we're doing in the manufacturing area is trying to make sure that we are doing an employer-driven curriculum. We are only successful if we meet your needs and put out a student that can actually have a job and come in and work. We are expanding our offerings here. So if you look in what happened in the last year, we are going to continue to build on our automation. And we started with just robotics. We're going to be building more into the automation area as well. We're going to expand our lab usage. As we build the new facility and look at our current lab space, we have opportunities to do more. Some of them will be daytime classes, some will be provided to dual credit opportunities where high schools may not have the labs, but we have the facilities here that could actually support them as well. And we're going to focus on lab projects. So Gaylord Roadman and myself are doing a session right after this that'll talk about how we actually use fabrication and machining to design projects and what work could a student do when they leave here that would help you be successful when you hire them. 2021, I'm going to talk about COVID only because we learned a lot. And COVID is terrible. I get that. Everybody has an opinion, but I will tell you from a positive side, we learned a lot of how education can be done. We changed some things to get through the initial burst of COVID, but with the leadership of Heather Zaccanini and Bob Mihelich and our faculty, we supported our students and our students supported us. So we were very, very fortunate to work through this COVID situation. We focused on the automation. We hired an adjunct that came in and built a PLC course that's highly hands-on intensive. We have got approved for the Department of Labor apprenticeship, which will provide an alternative to you in hiring apprentices and working with them. So we're excited to have that opportunity as well. And most importantly, we did have the opportunity, we hired a full-time welding instructor who started this semester, and this afternoon we're starting our first daytime welding class. We also have the opportunity now that starting in January, we will have a new full-time manufacturing instructor joining us as well, who has the experience in the automation area. So we're looking forward to you spending time with us today. We appreciate you all being here and look forward to you attending the workshops this afternoon. And please call if you have a desire to help. We need participation of industry on our advisory committees. But again, we're just thankful that you're here and working with us. So thank you and have a great day. Next, I would like to introduce Mark Picos from the Small Business Development Center.
Thanks, Tom. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for getting up early and arriving. When I was a sophomore in college, I was the first chair guitar in the 7 a.m. lab jazz band ensemble. We had this instructor, kind of a surly guy, saxophone player. I remember getting there early on my first day and got in my chair, and everybody else was getting their instruments out, polishing them up, tuning up, so on and so forth. We sit around till like 8:10, 8:15, and the instructor walks in. He's bleary-eyed and disheveled. He looks like he just got off the bus from a gig in Chicago, and we're in central Illinois. He's sipping from a big tankard of coffee that's like this big. He takes a big, slow look at us, looks around the room, and he says, 8 a.m., what do they think this is, machine shop? So 8 a.m. is a great time for manufacturing, but not so good for jazz. I'm sure the vast majority of you got up hours before 8 a.m. today, and I'm sure that you've done that yesterday and the day before. So you get up early to open up shop, to review the budget, to interview a prospect. I'm sure you consistently do that, and you did that prior to March 2020, before the work from home, before the supply chain constrictions, before these bad boys. It's our job at the Small Business Development Center to be sure that your team will do that tomorrow and into next week and into next year. You've got the perseverance, you've shown that for the past year. We've got the resources. All right, buddy, you say, but I've been in business for 35 years. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You might be great for my cousin's cookie business that they want to run out of their house, but what do you know about large-scale manufacturing? Let's get a feel for who's in the room. How many of you are business owners? Keep your hands up. Raise your hands up high. Be proud of your entrepreneurial. How many of you work at an organization with 500 or fewer employees? Hands up. Okay, great. This is a lot of folks in the room. How many of you are involved in a program helping the next generation of manufacturers and entrepreneurs, such as the incubator program? Hands up. All right, that's great. How many of you have a vested interest in the economic development of McHenry County? Raise your hands. That's great. So that's darn near everybody. We got everybody in the room except the sound guy, but we'll get him next year. So I don't have to go down and read the laundry list of the no-cost confidential services that the Small Business Development Center offers, because what we do is simple. To echo Dr. Gabbard's speech from this morning, we listen to small businesses and we listen to entrepreneurs and we provide them resources to take on whatever curveball the world throws at us next. So please, if you have the time, visit my booth out front. Our contact information is right here if you've got a boogie and don't have the time to talk with me before. But give me a call, send me an email, let's get to work. So now the gentleman who's playing a large part in developing the next generation of manufacturers, Director of College and Career Readiness, Mike Kennedy.
Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Good. All right. As Mark said, I'm Mike Kennedy. I am the Director of College and Career Readiness. It's great seeing so many of our educational partners out here. I work with a lot of our educational partners, and I manage all of our dual credit agreements that are happening around the county. And with that, I really want to share some numbers with you today. But it's also great seeing our manufacturers because these really are the next round of workers that are going to be working with all of you in the future. So with that, I want to get right into it. So this is quite interesting if you take a look at it. I'm going to hit you with some statistics here. So that top chart there is just looking at our dual credit enrollments. So these are not unique students. This is our total student enrollments in dual credit programs around the county over the past 5 semesters. So in fall of 2019, we had just under 2,000 students around the county participating in dual credit courses, earning college credit while they're still in high school. In fall 21, this semester right now, we are just shy of 4,000 students. In the spring, I'm guessing we're going to be somewhere around 4,500 students around the county taking coursework. This is amazing if you think about it. This is going to give students a jump start on their college careers. It's going to make sure that they are having more access to education, and they're going to be able to come here, they're going to be able to go to their college or university, and they're going to be able to finish sooner, and they're going to be able to start our programs even sooner, and they're going to be able to get into your shops and help you out. And if you kind of want to think about this in terms of more numbers, because it might be hard to think about what 4,000 students kind of looks like. When we have to make a section, when there's a section of a dual credit course running at a high school, we need to make a comparable section at the college for that exact same class. So right now, this school year, we're going to be making 445 sections of dual credit classes. That is 445 classrooms in the high schools that are running dual credit coursework, running college-level coursework. And that doesn't include also the AP coursework that's also happening. So this is really a testament to all of our educational partners who are in the audience today that have worked hard with their staff in order to find these opportunities to grow and to bring this opportunity to their students and to their community. And we are looking at new partnerships all the time. We're actually developing an app development program. We've expanded that with our Crystal Lake partners. We've expanded some manufacturing, IMT 100 and 105 into Harvard, and we're going to continue to grow these programs. And even as this number continues to grow, it doesn't change the percentage. About 27.5% of those sections offered are in CTE programs. So if you want to take a look at that number and think about just over a quarter of those are students who are directly related to CTE programming. So this is your metals programs. These are your architectural programs. It is marketing. It is business. It is accounting. It is everything that you are going to need in the future. And in the other courses, it is still courses that are going to help you. It's the math. It's the English. It's everything that you're going to need running into the next part of the careers. So we are going to continue to expand our dual degree partnerships. We just got a brand new one, so I want to welcome in Huntley with that. So we now have 3 dual degree partnerships. Our first one with Woodstock. We also have Harvard, and then we also just got a new one with Huntley as well. So these are going to be students who are going to be earning both their high school diploma and their College Associate of Arts degree simultaneously. And in addition to all of this, we have an increase in our Running Start program. And if you don't know what Running Start is, that is any student who wants to take college coursework before they've actually graduated from high school. So these are students who are just taking extra classes. A lot of them are high school students taking classes at night. A lot of them are homeschool students. A lot of them are looking for career exploration opportunities that they might not be getting elsewhere. we have about 200 to 300 students a year taking advantage of these programs. So again, that number for dual credit, that's happening in the high schools right now. It does not take into account all those other courses as well. If we were to put all of that together and look at all the students taking courses related to MCC, we are darn near 5,000 enrollments. So I really want to say thank you to all of our educational partners who have worked with me to help grow these programs. I want to thank all of our manufacturing partners here who are going to be looking to these students in the future. And as we're looking for internships and apprenticeships, being able to take these students on and say, we're here to help you and we're here to help the next students in that career. So with that, I would like to introduce Pat Callis, who is our coordinator of Shaw Center, who's going to bring it back to some of those ideas that Mark was talking about and really talk about expanding and growing your own. Again, I'm Mike Kennedy, Director of College and Career Readiness. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Good morning. Let's see where I'm at. So I'm going to bring our conversation back to supply chain for just a minute and talk about the support that we can give your organizations through our workforce training program. APEX CPIM, Part 1 is a 24-hour Basics of Supply Chain Management, which is a universally recognized entry-level supply chain training. Part 2 is the combination of 4 modules, 36-hour course, master planning of resources, detailed scheduling and planning, execution and control of operations, and strategic management of resources. These trainings can be brought to your organization for your work group, or if there's enough of you interested, we can schedule an open enrollment class, create a cohort, and have it done at our Shaw Center facility up in McHenry. Our other option that I'm sharing today is our online partnership with Ed2Go, which is a vendor that we provide a lot of online programs with. So 2 courses that I'm highlighting: Supply Chain Management Fundamentals. The participants will master the fundamentals of supply chain management and prepare for the recognized certification exams. And then the Distribution and Logistics Management class, the participant will learn how to improve your company's distribution logistics management activities, increase customer satisfaction, and improve operation throughout. And we heard about that today. So if you have folks that are coming up through, they don't have a lot of experience, both of these programs would benefit your organization. I'm going to change gears a little bit and talk about our boot camps. So our manufacturing boot camps can be delivered to your company, and they're delivered to our community in different ways. This is our manufacturing boot camp as scheduled in the Catalyst. As with all our workforce training programs, you can register 1 or more of your employees into those scheduled programs. The next boot camp can be part of your talent development strategy. This is an example of a program that we're currently running at a local manufacturer. 24 of their employees, split between 2 cohorts to cover first and second shift, train 1 day a week for 4 hours. From there, they will be divided into the 3 specialty trainings. So the foundation coursework for this company totals 50 hours. Welding, additional 64. Maintenance tech, 128 more hours. And fab tech, 64 hours. This is all done on site. Another company I'm working with is doing a mini version, getting started with just shop math and blueprint reading. Same thing, splitting it between 2 shifts because you can't have everyone there at the same time and you can't pull them off at the same time. Depending on what your company needs, we can coordinate a program appropriate for your organization and your employees. And then finally, our grant-funded alternative talent pipeline boot camps build functional skills for individuals with barriers. And these can include people with language barriers, mental health and justice system involvement are just some of the barriers. Homelessness, we've had folks in those programs. These 6-week boot camps are scheduled 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, totaling 180 hours of coursework. And that's providing them with the foundational skills to be hired as an entry-level manufacturing employee. As with all the programs we offer at Shaw Center, contact me. I'm happy to talk to you about anything that I mentioned today, but of course, anything else that you might need at your organization. And it's my great pleasure to now introduce Nikki Sullivan, General Kinematics Corporation.
Hello, all. I'm here to talk about the Manufacturing Pathways Consortium, and I want to point out, you may have noticed that we have member Manufacturing Pathways Consortium on several of the slides that you've seen to introduce the individuals who are speaking. And you'll also see that on our name tags, you may observe that lots of the participants, the individual participants, have this little membership flag on them. And that's to help everyone recognize and maybe speak to people that that are more aligned with what you already know and the people that you know to understand and ask your personal questions. And I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction. So we have 159 individual members currently. 40 amongst those members, we have every high school in the county represented. We have MCC leaders within the organization, and we also have 28 community partners. But here's the big whammy: 46 manufacturers are represented within the organization. Can I get the next slide? So the main purpose and the best way to explain this is that this smaller pie on this side is our conventional methods of trying to find and build our workforce. So we have the transitions are defined as those situations where an organization has a plan to leave the county, or if they're closing a facility and that there's going to be an opportunity to capture employees and transition them into our companies. And then we have our conventional headhunting. The problems that occur with this is that all of us are competing for the same workforce. The purpose of the Manufacturing Pathways Consortium is to make the pie bigger. So what we're looking at within the other side is to add more understanding of the alternative pipeline, which you heard a little bit about from the Shaw Center, increasing the student pipeline. What can we do to make more students aware of the wonderful opportunities in manufacturing? To be able to understand what companies are planning a transition earlier in the process so that we can capture those folks before they leave the county. And also, one of my favorites, the industry convergence, to reach those people who don't even understand that they're in the wrong industry, that they should perhaps, instead of working in a service industry, make a transition into a great manufacturing career. So here's how it works. We get all of that information quickly on the closings, the moves, and the downsizing. We have opportunities to work together, whereas one company, it's hard to go out and share and bust the myths about dirty or dangerous situations that exist. All this mindset that we have with teachers, with parents who don't yet understand the power of manufacturing careers. Working on social media campaigns, right? We would never do that by ourselves, but as a group of manufacturers working together, it's easier for us to reach out to all of those mentors to get the message through. We also can make our plant tours something that we work together to plan on specific days where their families can make the choice, instead of just planning on their own to visit one plant tour, that they can get on the bus and go and visit 2 or 3 companies on the same day. We also have opportunity to encourage more schools to do classroom teaching events. At General Kinematics, we really enjoy going to a middle school to share the information about our technology in order to get the students to consider careers in technology, in engineering perhaps, but also in welding and understand the science applications for so many of our shop positions. Everything that we do, every activity, every communication, points toward our website, which is our central communication tool, and where all of us work together to put information and sharing, and also links to our own job sharing sites to understand what job openings we have and what positions we're developing for. So how do we get involved? Well, hey, it's great. Find someone who's got this little tag, or right around the corner outside of the exit, we have a spot where you can look at some of the information we're sharing with students, and you can sign up. You can also attend on October 20th a new member orientation and onboarding discussion. This is not just for companies that have not joined us yet. It's also for individuals that work within a company that is a member of our consortium, but that themselves do not understand what it's all about. So we have an opportunity to go over the reason that we came together, all of our missions and our values, and understand that working together in a session that's specifically focused on answering your questions. Then on October 27th, you actually can attend and observe our regular monthly membership meeting for the first time. For more information, we have several links here to share and help out. We have a Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you haven't already connected and seen some of these things, we're asking that you please share and share and share during Manufacturing Month, because we want to make sure that everyone in our county knows October is Manufacturing Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, and do get involved in the consortium if you haven't already. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Talia Kronkowitz, our Vice President of pretty much everything, as you'll see on the screen, for some closing comments.
Thank you. I'm used to having to put the mic down, so thank you. Good morning for being here. Thank you for being here, and good morning. I do want to thank all of you for being here on behalf of the college, and also give a big round of applause to Catherine Jones and the entire workforce development team, the partners that joined us today. This took quite the effort to make this morning happen, and it has been fabulous. So thank you to everybody who has played a part in that. My role today is the call to action. So I have learned a great deal just sitting here for this last hour and being able to network a little bit this morning, and I know all of you have as well. So I'd like you just to think and be intentional for a moment. So I want you to take a second just to reflect. You have heard from our lovely partners. You've heard from MCC this morning. What is it that you can do next? What is it that you can do to help continue to grow and build our partnerships and our collaborations, and to grow our manufacturing community here in the county? You're already doing so much, and we know that. But is there something else that we can be doing here at the college, or something else that you can be doing within your organizations to continue these efforts? There's a whole list here on the screen. I want you just to reflect for one moment about one thing that you'd like to be able to take away from today and personally do as you move forward. You've heard from the Manufacturing Consortium. We have a wonderful apprenticeship program at the college, and we want to be able to support you here at the college. But now, just take this moment to think about what that one thing could be. And for the rest of the day, I hope you continue to learn, and I know we have some sessions that are coming up that are coming in just a minute. Catherine's going to give you some next directions. Thank you again. We are so proud to be able to host this event here at the college. We are so proud of our partnerships here in the county with our manufacturing companies. Thank you for joining us today.
All right, a few more logistics before I send you on your way. You see the list of breakouts. You likely pre-registered for one. However, if you have decided you want to switch things up a little bit, please feel free. The breakout, because we've been talking to you, now we want to hear from you. That's a very important part. This is the advisory section of our morning together. Here in this room will be the Manufacturing Pathway and Career Development. Moving upstairs will be our manufacturing and metals breakout, as well as a continued discussion on supply chain. You heard us talk with the panel on supply chain about the operational aspects. In this breakout session, we'll be talking about the education that you need MCC to be able to deliver to folks to keep that supply chain talent running in your business. So as you leave here, you'll be going past the expo tables. There's coffee. We also have coffee service outside the breakout rooms upstairs. So take a moment, that change of scenery. Our college resources are still there. The consortium is there as well for you to check in with. Educators in the room, I'm going to encourage you to drop by the consortium table. We have a palm card on why manufacturing. Please feel free to take a quantity of those that you can share with your students. And we are available for questions along the way, and don't forget the virtual backpack. Thank you for attending this morning, and we'll see you in the next session.